Cultural ecology, the study of the process by which a society adapts to its environment. Selective pressures, forces in the environment that influence reproductive success in individuals, can include the physical environment, other species in the area, and social environment. Fitness, a measure of relative reproductive success of individuals. Fitness can be measured by an individual's genetic contribution to the next generation compared to that of other individuals. Ecological niche, position of species within its environment, defined by diet, habitat, activity pattern, etc. Natural selection, the primary mechanism of evolution that refer to changes in the frequencies of certain traits in populations due to differential reproductive success between individuals, gradual adaptive divergence. Evolution, change in the genetic makeup over time. Adaptive radiation, the relatively rapid expansion and diversification of life forms into new ecological niches, occupation of different ecological niches by closely related species, differential reproductive success, the result, the environment, defined by diet, habitat, activity pattern, etc. Technology, the knowledge, tools, and skills used by humans to manipulate their environments. Reproductive success, the number of offspring an individual produces and rears to reproductive age. This represents an individual's genetic contribution to the next generation. Tribe, a type of society marked by egalitarian social structure, based on horticultural and pastoral economies, and integrated by various types of kinship organization and sodalities. Agriculture, a subsistence strategy based on intensive continuous use of land for the production of plant foods. It typically includes one or more of the following: cultivation of soils, use of fertilizers, and irrigation. Social stratification, ascribed and achieved differences between two classes within a society. Subculture, a smaller group within a large cultural complex. Behaviors, values, attitudes, and artifacts are shaped by group members. Shaman, a part-time practitioner of the supernatural who has special powers to mediate between the supernatural world and the community. Cline, the variation of a biological trait along a geographic continuum. Human skin pigments show distribution along a cline from the equator to the north and south. Cultural relativism, the perspective that any aspect of a culture must be viewed and evaluated within the context of that culture. Band, a type of society common in foraging groups and marked by egalitarian social structure and lack of specialization. Carrying capacity, the maximum population that a habitat can sustain. Archaeology, the systematic study of the artifacts and ecofacts from past cultures as a means of reconstructing past lifeways. Action anthropologist, one who believes that he or she has a moral obligation to take the side of indigenous populations whenever such people's rights to self-determination are violated. Clan, a descent group consisting of two or more lineages that trace their origin to a mythical ancestor. Applied anthropology, the branch of anthropology that focuses the application of anthropological methods and approaches to the solution of problems, as distinct from academic anthropology. Colonialism, influence and dominance of one nation over another for the purpose of exploiting raw resources. The dominant nation-state establishes a physical presence and a colonial government. See imperialism, hegemony. Negative reciprocity, an economic exchange aimed at receiving more than is given. Optimal foraging model, a model that aims at understanding how foragers optimize gathering food. Plasticity, the pliability or malleability of a biological feature. An individual genetic growth potential is malleable depending on nutrition, maternal health, and exposure to sunlight. Postmodernism, a complex theoretical perspective that applies a humanistic approach to ethnography with a focus on individuals and their values. Participant observation, the process of an anthropologist doing ethnographic fieldwork. Reciprocity, a form of exchange that involves the mutual giving and receiving of food and other items between people who are socially equal. Paleoanthropology, the study of human biological evolution. Midden, archaeological term to designate an area of discard, a trash heap. Microculture, the smallest subgroup within a culture that shares specific cultural features such as values or behaviors. Magic, the techniques used to manipulate supernatural forces that flows in and out of people and objects. Acculturation, the incorporation of knowledge and material creations from a different culture as a consequence of prolonged contact with that culture. Homogeneous culture, cultural group that shares most ideas, values, knowledge, behaviors, and artifacts, typical of small cultural group foragers. Informants, native members of a society who give information about their culture to an ethnographer. Hegemony, the ideological domination by the cultural group over another through institutions, bureaucracy, education, and sometimes force. See imperialism, colonialism, globalization. In anthropology, the rapid spread of economic and cultural systems across continents. Gender, the socio-cultural construct of masculine and feminine roles and qualities assigned to those roles. Ethic, an outsider's view of a culture. This perspective in ethnography uses the categories of the anthropologist's culture to describe the culture under study. Ethnography, a written description of a culture based on data gathered from fieldwork. Ethnocentrism, making value judgments based on one's own culture when describing aspects of another culture. Inculturation, the process of learning one's own culture while growing up in it. Amic, an insider's view of a culture. This perspective in ethnography uses the categories and ideas that are relevant and meaningful to the culture under study. Egalitarian, refers to members of a society having equal access to status, power, and wealth within the same category such as age or gender. Division of labor, the manner of dividing work based on criteria such as age or gender. Diffusion, the voluntary borrowing and exchange of items through borrowing between cultures. Culture, the sum total of knowledge, ideas, behaviors, and material creations that are learned, shared, and transmitted primarily through the symbolic system of language. These components create a pattern that changes over time and serve as guides and standards of behavior for members of the society. The term culture is used in abstract as well as to refer to a specific culture.